In this video, I'll show you how to inverse a matrix using the transformation method. This is part 2. If you've already watched part 1, this example is slightly more complicated and the rules to doing this have not changed. You can interchange any rows, multiply a row by a non-zero, add a constant multiple of one row to another. Our goal is to convert matrix A, which is defined as 4, 7, 2, and 6, into its identity matrix of 1, 1, 0, and 0. The first element that I'll be tackling here is to convert this 2 into a 0. And to do that, I'll multiply row 2 by 2 and amend row 2 by subtracting row 1 from row 2. So row 2 will be the one that's amended, and I'll be subtracting the products of row 1 from that. Since only row 2 is being amended, I can rewrite all of row 1 the way it is. 4, 7, 1, and 0. So let's go ahead and do this. We are going to multiply all of these elements by 2 and then subtract what we get from row 1. If you do this successfully, you will end up with 0, 5, -1, and 2. And in case you still can't see it, let's pretend that we took 2 and we multiplied it by 2, we got 4. 4 minus 4 gives us 0. And I did the same thing for each. The next thing that I'll try to do is convert this 7 into a 0. And the way I'll do that is I'll multiply row 1 by 5, row 2 by 7, and then subtract row 2 from row 1. So row 1 this time is the one that's being amended. That being said, I'll rewrite every element in row 2 since that won't change. The element that we have here will become 20. The element here will become 0, 12, and -14. Now let's investigate why. Let's pretend that I multiplied row 1 by 5, that's 20, row 2 by 7, that's 0, and then I subtract 20 from 0, I end up with 20. One more. We multiply 7 by 5 is 35, 5 times 7 is 35, 35 minus 35 is equal to 0, and the same method was applied to these elements. Next, what I have to do is change this 20 somehow into a 1, and change this 5 somehow into a 1. And that's the easy part. We divide all of row 1 by 20 and all of row 2 by 5. We end up with 1, 0, 0, and 1. This gets divided by 20, this gets divided by 20, and that gives us 3 over 5 and -7 over 10. Now I know it should give you something bigger. For example, this should be 12 over 20, but I've just reduced it. And similarly, I've reduced that and it becomes -7 over 10. If I divide this by 5, I get -1 over 5. And this divided by 5 gives us 2 over 5. This right here represents our inverse matrix. And the letter that we used was A. So this becomes A to the power of -1. Now we can check if we did this correctly if we take this inverse matrix and multiply it to A. So in other words, if I take A times A inverse, I should end up with the identity matrix. And there you have it. Another example on how to inverse a matrix using the transformation method. Make sure to watch part 3 for another example.